cloudy and the roads are wet, this can be really daunting for many riders, especially if you've had a previous experience of slapping off on a corner or on one of the white lines. Anyway, we're here to help. We're here to give you the confidence to show you that riding on wet roads is actually just fine. So coming up, there are top tips. How to ride on wet roads and how to master those corners too. Tyre choice becomes ever more important when riding on the wet and the damp roads. Now this is because it's the contact point between you and that road surface. So getting the right choice of tyre is going to give you more confidence when riding on those slippery surfaces. But the thing to think about is the compound of tyre, not necessarily the tread. Now that is because bicycles aren't travelling the speed of cars, so aquaplaning doesn't actually become a thing. So finding a compound that's grippy in those wet surfaces is going to be the thing to look for. The next thing to think about is the width of the tyre. Now I'm riding a 30 width. Now this means that I can run a bit lower pressure, and I'm also riding tubeless. That way I can run even lower pressure without worrying about pinch punctures. But when it's wet and the clouds open, the rain falls, debris comes into the road, meaning the chances of puncture becomes ever more growing. So finding a tyre that is also pretty resilient is going to be something to look for also. Moving on nicely from tyres to tyre pressure. The pressure of air within your tyres. Go too high and the less grip you're going to get. Go too low and well, it's not going to end well. So you want to find a nice middle ground. I would tend to go 10 psi lower than you would if you're riding on the dry roads. The thing to remember though is the softer the tyre, the more surface or the more rubber you've got on that surface area, meaning you've got more grip. So have a think about going for a wider tyre and a bit less pressure. That way you can have all the confidence you're going to need to ride on these wet, slippery roads. Choosing your line when it comes to riding the wet roads is imperative. It's also important on the dry, but it's even more accentuated when these roads are damp like this. The thing to think about is to look forwards as far as you can ahead. A lot of nervous riders tend to look at the floor or straight ahead of them, but you want to look forwards. That way you can judge the corner. Is it sharp? Is it open? And then you can brake accordingly. When coming into the corner, you want to analyze the road surface, looking for the cracks, potholes, drains, or standing water. Anything that's going to throw you offline. And then the speed. I would look at going 20 or 25% less on wet corners than I would in the dry, just to be safe. One thing to remember though, I wouldn't bother racing. The last thing we'll do is risk a crash. So take it that bit easier, but ultimately, go out and enjoy it. You want to take extra precaution when crossing the white lines, potholes, or drains. Trust me on this. Actually, I've got a good story to tell you. It was wet, and I was super excited. I attacked off the front of the peloton in the Tour of Britain. I came to a white line, took the corner too sharp, slid all the way into the crowd. And that's how I can tell you how slippery those white lines are. So when it comes to fighting for KOMs or QOMs or racing your buddies on wet downhills, I would say, remember, it can get really wet and slippery. So take it that little bit easier and stay away from the white lines. Dragging your brakes. This is not to slow you down, but it's to speed you up and to keep you nice and safe out on the roads. The thing to remember is you don't want to grab a bucket load of brake at any one point, especially in a corner. This will lock up your wheels and you'll end up falling off. Now, if you're riding rim brakes, dragging your brakes way before a corner is going to actually help you and make you brake that bit better, because you're taking away the film that sits between
your brake pad and the brake rim. So try and alleviate that by touching your brakes, getting rid of that film, and then you can feel the brakes bite before you need to use them in the corner or at a junction. Now, disc brakes tend to work a bit better when it comes to wet roads, but it still has the same issue. But the thing to do is to practice dragging your brakes before you come to a corner or if you see a junction way ahead. That way you can control the speed and you can control your safety.
If you're used to riding in European roads like these ones in Mallorca, they're silky smooth. They're amazing for dry riding, but if it's been dry for a long time and then there's a big downpour, those roads become ice rinks. Genuinely, they become incredibly slippery and greasy. So one thing to remember is watch out for the weather, and if it's been dry for a while, maybe take extra precautions just in case. So there you have it. That's how you master these wet roads and you feel confident when going into the corners. If you enjoyed this video, then you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button and let me know in that comment section below if you like riding the wet or you just find it scary. Right, I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!